Okay, now, so the question is that, of course, we wanted to engage and study and be able to understand Quran in a way that it affects our life. But what are some of the ways that we should engage in? So there are ways that we should approach Quran, which we'll talk about in the module coming up, that how we should really approach towards Quran, what should be our attitude. But some of the things that we do want to keep in mind is that our heart and mind should be engaged when we are understanding Quran. For example, seeking guidance, Muslims often begin by seeking guidance from Allah. So again, recite Surah Fatiha. That is the first opening verses of receiving guidance. Learning Arabic, that's another area of focus that when you are studying Quran, you need to know the language. And if you are new or beginner and you don't want to go into that because it's of course a very a subject that you need a lot of time learning another language and exploring and understanding the grammar and the vocabulary and Arabic grammar, which can take place as you go along, and it can take many years sometimes to have that command on the language. But if you don't, then still you can read the commentary of the Quran, you can still study and reflect, which is called tafakkur. So that is important too. So first point is seeking guidance. That's seek guidance from Allah. And do Surah Fatiha, study Surah Fatiha, recite Surah Fatiha, and specifically when you come upon where the verses that says, Sayyidina Surat Mustaqim, make your niyyah that Allah guide me towards understanding Quran. Learning Arabic, as we talked about that, reading translation. So this is what you can do if you're not an Arabic speaker, that of course you can read translation of Quran. And there are many different translations there are available that you can read. Study tafsir. Now, the tafsir study is very in-depth study. That's what we will do in some of these explanations, that we will go deeper into the subject. We will understand the linguistic meaning, the historical context, the deeper meaning, how it kind of affects our life, journal and spiritual implications. Understanding the context and the historical background of the surah is very, very important when we are exploring different chapters of Quran. So when we are trying to understand different chapters, it's very important to learn what is the context and what is the historical background. And if you wanted to uh, do that kind of reading, then I would suggest that the commentary of Quran by Imam al-Maududi is really good for historical background. So do check that out. There are PDF files available that you can look at it, and you can able to download it and be able to understand it. Understanding the context of and the historical background beyond that, you will also find many other resources that I will recommend. What are the Quran recommendation and resources for like the tafsir? So you will find that in the module, upcoming module, which is the second module. We will be talking about reflecting and contemplation. So those who are not Arabic speakers, you can always read the translation of Quran and you can reflect. But again, in order to understand a verse of Quran, you cannot take it without the context and the historical background. So it's very important to know what are the circumstances in which the surah was revealed, what are the background of the surah, and what is the main theme. So, but when you reflect on the verses after reading that and collecting information, always take time to contemplate and reflect and reach to an understanding. So, using your intellect at the same time, also using your heart and mind to kind of internalize the message. So it's important. You cannot just rely on just reading, and not like reflecting and not contemplating. So tafakkur is something which is very important part of understanding Quran. And when you are on this of journey of understanding Quran through spiritual and intellectual perspective. Consulting scholars. So if you come to a point where there are certain verses that you do not understand, and they are very complex or complex issues that are there, then you may need to look at it and you want to find scholars who can really make you understand that. Engaging in group study, that's always a good idea to have a Quran study circle where you can discuss and be able to, bounce ideas, be able to discuss some of those questions that may arise in your mind and explore more. But the people who you do study with should be also coming from the same intention and mindset to study and understand, not to criticize Quran. So again, there's a way to engage in it, and the way to engage is more like, understanding rather than finding conflicts or finding contradictions. So your intention should be right. This is a sacred journey, so you need to have a right intention when you're on this journey. Implementation and the teachings of the whatever the teachings that you have learned. So again, implementing Quranic teaching is something which is very important, because you can learn and collect as much information as you want. And as you know, we are living in a time where it's like information is available on your fingertips, so it's not difficult to gather information. You can collect as much information as you want, but implementing the knowledge is very important. Continual learning and reflection, and it's a lifelong process. It's a journey that doesn't end. So it doesn't mean that you have studied Quran and now you can stop, and you don't need to go further. Even if you have completed the study and the tafsir of Quran once, you can always restart, and you can always start from the beginning, and you will see how much you will learn the next time, because over the years we grow, our experiences change, and every time when we read Quran, we reflect and we understand, we discover something new, as if like, you're diving into an ocean and finding a pearl. So it's always amazing to find those new understanding, reflection, perspective that you have never thought about before.